Hey guys, Katus here. So this time I'm going to show you how to quick charge an Eidolon lure. This is usually done at the start of the hunt by the limb breaker. So at the start of the hunt, the limb breaker usually grabs one lure and charges it right away so that we can start the Eidolon tier list right away. So first I'm going to show you how I do it in real time, and then I'm going to do it again and explain how and why. Okay, so now I'm going to explain how we do it. Keep in mind that everyone does this a little bit different. Everyone has their different spots and dashes and different micromanagement, but it's mostly the same basics. And also keep in mind that when I do this in solo, like I'm alone in the plains, it's so much easier to spawn the Bombalist because all the spawns are centered on me. So it might not be as easy, and it will not be as easy if you are in a full squad with other 3 players. But just so you know, I do advise that when you do this, you practice it alone in the plains, so that way you know if you're doing it right, if you're doing it wrong, or if maybe it's just not working because there are other players making it harder, right? Also, when you are with other players, the host has priority over the spawns. So the host is the person that has that #1 on the top right of the screen on their name. So yeah, that's the person who is going to have the priority over the spawns. Yeah, so basically we have 2 spots right now that we use. So we have this lure over here and we have this lure over here. So with time, the teams tends to change the spots. I'm not sure why, but they just change the Bumble spawns with time. So in the future, it might not be the exact same spots, but the basics are the same. Okay, so first I'm going to show you that camp over there, this one over here. So basically you go here and we need a point of reference, right? So in this case, this lock pin right here is a point of reference that we use for this spot. That is called a lock pin. That is from the Tenno Dojo Lab. I highly advise you get this. This is really good. So yeah, definitely grab those. Anyway, if you want to copy this lock pin, what you can do is if you come here, you see there are this bush over here and then this rock over here. So basically in between those two, there's this road. You basically just go there, and in between these two again, you just go up, and here it is, right? Now it doesn't have to be like exactly in that spot. It can be a little bit to the right, to the left, up, down. That doesn't matter. It's just like sort of in this spot, right? Okay, so again, the way that we do it is basically we use this reference point. So you can do this with any weapon. You can do this with a sniper. You can do this with a secondary even. But the reason that we use the sniper is one, because we use the sniper for Eidolons, so most likely you already have the sniper anyway. But the main reason is one, that when you zoom in, you can see the Bombalist spawn better, so that's one. And the other reason is that if you look at the HUD on the screen on the left, it says distance to target. So that's like the main reason that we use the sniper rifle, because the sniper rifles tell you the distance to the target that you're aiming at. So that makes it a lot easier to just go in and see the distance. So again, if you look at the distance, the sweet spot for spawning the Bumblelist is usually 160, 140. So that is like the sweet spot, right, at which the Eidolons tend to spawn. So basically, you come here, well, they already spawn, but you aim at where the lure spawns, which is around there, and you get near 10 by 10. There is another pair. Bumblelists spawn in pairs, if you didn't know. They always spawn in pairs when spawned naturally on the map. So yeah, again, you just aim at where the lure spawns, and you just go 10 by 10, sort of like 160, 150, 140. And again, they usually spawn like at 160, 140, 120. Those are like the usual sweet spots, right? So again, this is much easier to spawn them because I'm in single player. But yeah, usually we do this and they spawn like that. So at this point, you just teleport in, you hack the lure, you use its soul's third ability, freeze them. Now, as you see, I'm using its soul's 3 augment, which freezes the Bumblelist. Now, you might think this is not a big deal, but it is a big deal, because if you don't use this, the bombs are just like constantly floating around in random directions, and it's so much harder to get them. So yeah, basically, do definitely use that augment mod. And also, a bit of a side note, the duration and the range mods for the Archwing actually affect the distance of the that the hit soul can suck, and also the duration mods affect how long the enemies stay frozen. So do definitely put some mods on your Archwing, including you know, that augment mod. Okay, so again, we approach the pin, we aim at the lure spawn, and we get close, 10 in 10 meters, sort of. And there we go, we just spawned a pair of Bumblelists. Now, these guys are very nice. Okay, so sometimes you can spawn more than a pair, but that's not usually how it goes. So right now this lure is 2 out of 3. So if you don't know, lures need to eat 3 Bumblelists to be fully charged. So this lure is 2 out of 3. Now we need 1 more Bumblelist. So the way that I usually do that, so if you don't know, basically in this road, in this area as well, there are a ton of Bumblelist spawns, like all over this area, here as well, and all along the edge of the lake as well. There are a ton of Bumblelist spawns on this edge as well. So yeah, again, what I usually do is I go through this road kind of close to the ground. So sometimes you can find Bumblelists in this area. Again, because we're single player, we're going to find a lot, but in actual runs, when you're with other people, you usually don't really find them. So what I'm going to do is, again, sometimes you can find them like in this sedge by the lake. This is a really great spot where they spawn really often, but again, not that often. So what I usually do is I get here. And when I get here, I get in between these 2 trees over here. I tend to use that lock pin as a reference, but again, just get in between these trees, and there aim at that rock over there with the thing on top. So that rock is actually pretty great for spawning Bumblelists. That's a spot that I use a lot. so it's not working right now because there are already a bunch of Bumbleists spawn everywhere. Again, because the spawns are so generous because we're in single player. But yeah, I usually do use that rock over there. And just imagine we just spawn this, and yeah, there we go. So that's one lure charge. That's how we use that spot over there. So now I'm going to show you how to use the other spot. Okay, so again at the start of the pond, we jump out, we get on our archwing, we mark the Eidolon preferably. And there's the other spot, it's this lure over here. So we just go in, and the reference point for that is actually this tree over here. You can miss it, it's like the bigger tree on of this little bunch. Like if you go from the gate straight to the camp, you can't miss it. It's just this tree over here, or this one as well, doesn't matter really. So yeah, like you just come here, you aim, preferably the zoom level doesn't really matter, but I prefer like the farther zoom level because you can see the bombs better, because you can see more. So yeah, you well, we already spawned those. I don't know if it's going to work, but yeah, you just go in 10 by 10. So again, 160, 140, 120, that's where they usually spawn. Sometimes even below 100. But yeah, again, because we already spawned those, it's not going to spawn anymore. They usually spawn in this area over here, like behind those trees. So yeah, again, we go in, we hack the lure, we use its soul, suck them in and freeze them. Didn't work this time because I got knocked off, so that's annoying. So one more tip, usually as you can see, what I'm doing here is I go in, I hack the lure, and then I kill the Bumbleist. Sometimes you can kill the Bumbleist before you hack the lure, but I don't recommend you do that because there is this bug that happens sometimes. And as I say, it's a bug because it doesn't happen always, but it happens pretty often. So I don't recommend you kill the Bumbleist before you hack the lure, because what happens is that if you kill the Bumbleist and then you hack the lure, when you hack the lure, sometimes the charges get reset. So like right now, this lure is 2 out of 3 charges, but if I kill the bombs and then hack the lure, the charges reset, so this lure might be 0 out of 3 charges. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Just kill the Bumbleist after you hack the lure. So yeah, right now this lure is 2 out of 3, so we need 1 more Bumbleist to fully charge it. So sometimes you can get bombs around here, sometimes around this this bottle here, or a bit more over there. But again, not always, because we're in single player, spawns are more generous. But you know, they usually don't spawn in with other people. So what I tend to do is, again, I go to that trusty rock over there. But for some reason it doesn't work from this angle. Like if I go from the camp to the rock straight, it doesn't really work. So what I do is I go to this spot over here, again between these 2 trees, and then I do these spawns, right? So I aim at the rock, again I go in 10 by 10, and already we spawned a pair. Again, they don't usually spawn that early or that easily, but because we're in single player, right? So there we go, we spawn another pair. So yeah, that's what I tend to do. That spot is really great. And there we go, that's how we quick charge right now. So again, D tends to change the spawns every now and then, right? So just keep that in mind. The spots might change in the future, but you know, it's the same basics. You go in, you pick one lure, you force the spawns. Like in the past, a few months ago or like a year ago, that lure over there used to be great, and that was actually one of my favorite spawns because it was really great. But I mean, as you can see, it doesn't work anymore. Like, it doesn't spawn any bombs nearby anymore. So yeah, that happens sometimes. If that happens, you know, we just find another spot, so no big deal. Another thing that's important is actually your graphic settings, because your graphic settings actually affect a lot how easy it is to see the bombalist. So actually the important settings to be able to see the bombalist better are volumetric lighting. So this one actually turns on and off the fog of the planes. So we turn it on now. You can see there's fog now. So that makes it harder to see the bombs. So the other setting is actually this one over here, visual effects intensity. So I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to turn it all the way down so that you can see the difference. Okay, so if you see, like, they're mostly dark now. That's because that setting actually affects the light that the bombalist emit. So again, they're like just mostly dark now because I set it all the way down. So yeah, definitely turn that up all the way, and also turn this on, reduce teammate visual effects, because we're turning this all the way up, so you know, just so that you don't get blinded by any mirage, any lambos. Just turn this on as well. So yeah, as you can see, like, already they're much easier to see even without zooming in, and you know, I don't know if you can tell, but they're so much easier to see. So yeah, if you want to be able to see them better, definitely turn those on. Okay, so other than that, I also just want to talk a bit about why it is like this, why it works like this, and some implications that, well, you don't necessarily need to know, but it's better if you know them. Okay, so the reason that it works like this is that we're basically exploiting the game's mechanics. Okay, we're exploiting how the game spawns enemies in, and this is because of how modern open world games work, basically. Because the way that open world games work right now is that if you just entered a map, I'm going to use planes as an example. Okay, so right now we just entered the map, so there is nothing on the map. Okay, so if you look at that camp over there, there are no enemies. Like, literally in the entire map, there are no enemies right now. Like, everything is literally empty. Now again, the way that open world games work, and this is for every game right now, is that as you get close to an area, the enemies spawn in. So that is the reason that bombs spawn in when we get close and when we aim, because the game is trying to keep the illusion, basically, that there are enemies all over the map, right? So like, for instance, if we look at a spot where there is a spawn point for bombalists, the game is like, oh, this player is looking over there, so we got to spawn them in, right? To, you know, to keep the illusion that they're there at all times. So that's why it worked like that. And even like the map itself, okay, like, if you look, let's say, at I don't know, if you look like at those rocks over there, you can see that they're like more simple. They don't have any details. They look kind of like Play-Doh. That is called a low poly rock. That is a lower resource version of the map. So again, if we get close, that lower resource rock gets replaced by a higher detail version of the map. And again, that is for every single game. Every game works like this, and that is just to save on resources, you know, because the higher detail models are way more taxing on RAM and CPU and all that. And even like the enemies can be like very taxing on CPU and stuff. So yeah, that's the reason that it works like that. And that is the reason also that if there are multiple players in the game, if you are like with a full squad, it's much harder to spawn the bombalist, because when everyone goes out into the map, everyone is constantly spawning all sorts of stuff. So you know, the spawns get diluted, and there is a more charge on the game, right? So right now, because we're alone, it's much easier because we have like full control of the spawns. But again, if there are more players, the spawns get diluted, so it's much harder to spawn the bombalist. And also, another good thing that to keep in mind is that the host of the game has a priority over the spawns. Like if you're the host and you're in a full team with 4 players, it's much easier for the host to spawn the bombalist when they want to than it is for everyone else. It's not impossible, but if you're not the host, it will be so much harder for you. So yeah, that's why I recommend that you try this out, practice this in single player first, so that way you know if you're doing anything wrong or right, or if bombs are just not spawning because, you know, these spawns are being diluted and divided amongst all players, right? Also, some people would probably be like, well, this is cheating, or it's unfair, or it shouldn't be like that, or whatever. In my opinion, this just adds to the game, because this gives us more mechanics to work into, more things to have fun, to learn, and to practice. Like, I mean, look at all we have to do to be more efficient. But I mean, in a good way, in my opinion, because I think that it's fun to know and to practice and to know all of this, and it just adds more depth and more gameplay into the game, in my opinion. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's how you quick charge Eidolon lures. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, you have any questions, any tips that I missed. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Please subscribe.